You know he's not spending $200 million to build a ballroom in the White House. You know he didn't send 800 National Guard troops into D.C. to take over D.C. because of violence, which is the lowest in 40 years, and he was bragging about it being so low 2 months ago. It's on video. They have done everything they can possibly do to get us to stop asking for the Epstein files. And Trump's involvement in them must be so fucking bad that they have pulled out all the stops in the month of July. I've got a list, we're gonna go through it, of all the batshittery that they've done in the past month to try to get this to go away. That's how bad it must be. So settle in, because I've got some notes. Here we go. First, they released both the JFK and the MLK files, which no one was asking for. He announces that Coca-Cola is going to be made with American-grown sugarcane. Yeah, because we give a fuck. The firing of Trump's nemesis, Stephen Colbert, by Paramount just happened to be timed with them trying to do a merger with Skydance, which requires government approval. So that was all the news for a while, but not enough to make the Epstein files go away. Maybe if he brings back Kilmar Albrego Garcia, that will shut us up? Nope, didn't work. They pushed their big, bloated bastard of a tax cuts for the wealthy bill through in the middle of the night, hoping no one would notice, even though it has $9 billion in cuts to federal funding for the programs that we all use. Sure. And then they went on recess early to keep from voting on the things that matter to the American public, like the Epstein files. They announced that the Supreme Court is possibly considering things that might dismantle the Department of Education. Great. Trump raised tariffs on India to over 50% because they went and bought Russian oil. Well, duh, because we made ours unaffordable, you dumb, ignorant kumquat. So now they got to go buy it someplace else. So what does he do? Well, I'm going to tax you more. That'll bring him back to the table. He's opened what I assume is like the White House version of a Spencer's Gifts, so he can hawk Trump 2028 merchandise to visiting foreign dignitaries and heads of state. That's not embarrassing. He deployed National Guard troops to Los Angeles to help bully and round up and arrest all of the people attending music festivals. I'm telling you, those Epstein files must be fucking horrific. They announced that they will begin retrofitting the 747-8 aircraft gifted from Qatar to be used as Air Force One. They announced that he would be meeting with Putin in Russia to discuss the ending of the war in Ukraine, but failed to invite the Ukrainian president, and it turns out it's taking place in Alaska. But he always says the quiet part out loud, so he's probably already sold Alaska to Putin for like a handful of crypto coins. RFK canceled $500 million in vaccine research, which then also adds on top of the $600 million in medical research that has already been canceled. Yeah, we're all going to get sick and die. He picked very public fights with Rupert Murdoch and the guys from South Park. In both cases, he's trying to fight well above his weight class, and he's going to get annihilated. Either of them, together or separate, they could all finish him. It's not even a joke. But I enjoy a good ass whipping from time to time. Like, I love to see some just magnanimous turd get his ass kicked. So I'm here for it. He's forced Texas Governor Greg Abbott to re-gerrymander their states in hopes of getting at least 5 more GOP-held congressional seats. And Greg Abbott runs right at, well, I mean, you know what I mean? He doesn't literally run right out to do it. He goes immediately to do it because he wants to do whatever his dear master says, and he thinks there's something in it for him. And luckily, we're all keeping it a secret. We haven't told Greg Abbott yet that Trump doesn't like disabled people, so he'll never, ever, ever give anything to Greg Abbott. And now they've asked the Supreme Court to revisit the Obergefell decision. This is the one that offers federal protection and recognition to same-sex marriage. I hate to say I fucking told you so, but I fucking told you so. And mark this day on your calendar. They're not stopping at Obergefell. They're gonna come for Loving versus Virginia, which is the right to interracial marriage. That one's fucking next. Why won't you ever listen to me? There must be some really evil shit in those Epstein files, because they're also trying to reduce the age of consent to 14-year-olds. Now, this comes a lot out of the Washington, D.C. thing, because they claim it's so that teenagers who commit crimes should be tried as an adult. If you're 14 and you go commit a crime, you should be tried as an adult. That's what they want you to think. It's really so that white Christian men can grape, impregnate, and marry 14-year-old girls. They're not looking to protect little girls. They're looking to own them and reproduce with them. The Epstein files must be so bad that this man is actually considering changing the laws regarding cannabis, right? Like lightening the laws. Hasn't quite read the other paragraphs in the report that would tell him that this would then release a whole lot of people that are incarcerated for, small time, petty, dime bag type crimes, right? Mostly black and brown men that would be released from prison if he lowered these laws. So for now, it's just clickbait because he's trying to get you to forget about the Epstein files. He fired the commission of the Bureau of Labor Statistics because she had the nerve to tell him he had a shitty economy. He fired Billy Long, who was the head of the IRS, who'd only been in the position for 2 months, because Mr. Long had the audacity to say he wasn't going to hand taxpayer information over to the Department of Homeland Security so they could all come after us. And most recently, this one's rich. Most recently, he has floated the idea of firing Fed Chair Jerome Powell because allegedly Jerome Powell spent a little bit too much money, a grandiose amount of money on remodeling the federal headquarters of the Fed Chair. Which brings us back to, why is he spending $200 million on a ballroom?